Hey everyone, welcome to our Deep Neural Network series, your first step into the fascinating world of deep learning and artificial intelligence. In this session, we'll cover Introduction to Deep Learning, where we learn about what deep neural networks are, why they are so powerful, the real world applications. So, whether you're a beginner in AI or brushing up on deep learning concepts, you're in the right place. Get ready to explore how machines learn from data and solve complex problems just like humans do, but sometimes better. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on every session. Let's dive in and unleash the power of neural networks. So, have you ever wondered how your phone unlocks with your face, or how Netflix knows what to recommend? That's deep learning in action. So, before we go deeper, let's start with a simple question. What exactly is deep learning? Deep learning is a type of machine learning where computers learn from large amounts of data using structures called neural networks. So, what is a neural network? It is something like a digital brain or just math with a fancy name. Well, it's kind of both. A neural network is a system of algorithms designed to recognize patterns, just like how our brain does. It's called a neural because it's inspired by the way how neurons in our brain work. So, a neural network is made up of layers: an input layer, what we feed in, one more hidden layer, and an output layer. And that's what you're seeing in the right side image here available: an input layer, one hidden layer, and an output layer. So, when you look at a picture of a dog or a cat, your eyes send the visual signal to your brain. Your brain instantly processes the shape, color, pattern, ears, fur, tail, and recall your past experiences with dogs. And that's how, in just a fraction of a second, your brain tells you that that's wrong. A neural network works in a similar way, but with some math. The input layer receives pixel values from the image. The hidden layers process those values to detect features like edges, textures, and shapes, similar to recognizing ears, fur, and tail. Finally, the output layer makes a prediction. That's a dog. So, in this part of session, let's break down to the core terms: uh, artificial neuron, artificial neural network, and deep neural network. So, let us first understand what a artificial neuron is. Since human intelligence comes from the way how our biological neurons communicate and process information, researchers were inspired to replicate this mechanism in machines. They designed a simplified version of a biological neuron that one could take in inputs, process them, and produce an output. Because this version is man made and it mimics the behavior of real neurons, it's called an artificial neuron. So each neuron, that is a dot which you see here in the image, each dot receives one or more inputs. It processes them using mathematical operations, then passes the output to the next layer. You can think of each dot as a tiny decision maker. It looks at the input it receives, does some thinking, some math, and it sends its opinion to the next group of neuron. So remember, every dot in the network represents a neuron, and every neuron plays a small part in helping the system understand the bigger picture. Now, let's understand what is artificial neural network. In the human brain, no neuron works alone. They form an interconnected system that processes information. Similarly, in AI, when we connect many artificial neurons together, where each one passes its output to others, we create a network. That's why we call it an artificial neural network. It's inspired by the networked structure of our brain. Now that we understand what an artificial neural network is, let's go one step deeper, literally, and talk about the deep neural network. So, deep neural network, otherwise called the DNN, in a basic neural network, they might be just one hidden layer, good for solving simple problems. But when a network has two or more hidden layers, it becomes deep. That's where the name deep neural network comes from. A deep neural network is just a more advanced version of an artificial neural network. The main difference is that deep neural network have more hidden layers between the input and the output. So, now that we understand artificial neurons, neural networks, and deep neural networks, let's answer the big question: what is deep learning? So, when we use deep neural networks to solve the real world problems like recognizing faces, translating languages, or driving cars, that's what we call deep learning. If artificial neurons are like brain cells and deep neural networks are like the brain's structure, then deep learning is the process of training that brain to understand the world. So, how this actually works? To understand this, let's think of an example where we are trying to recognize apples. So, think you are teaching a child to recognize apples. You don't give them a rule like if it is red, it is round and has a stem, then it's apple. No, we don't tell that to kids. Instead, we show them lots and lots of examples of apples. We show the red ones, we show the green ones, we show big ones, small ones, and over time they learn what an apple looks like. In the same way, when we first give the model thousands of images of apples, each one labeled, this is an apple, this is just like teaching a child by showing flashcards. This is an apple, this is also an apple. As it sees more examples, the model starts to recognize patterns like the round shape, the red or green color, and the stem on the top. This happens through adjustments in the model's internal layers where it learns what features are important. Now, when we test the model by showing it a new image, the one which it has never seen before, and ask, what is this? If the training worked well, it recognizes the familiar patterns, and if it has learned well, it says, that's an apple. So, this is how you don't need to memorize every apple in the world. Once you've seen enough apples, you can recognize a new one instantly, even if it's a different size or color. Deep learning works the same way. This is the goal of deep learning. It is to learn from examples during training and then make accurate predictions on new and unseen data. So, what have we learned today? In this session, we covered the basic building blocks of deep learning. We now understand what these key terms mean. Artificial neuron, it's a basic unit that mimics a biological neuron. Artificial neural network, a network of neurons working together to process information. Deep neural network, an artificial neural network with multiple layers that can learn complex patterns. Deep learning, the technique of training deep neural networks to learn from large amounts of data. By example, we also explored how machines learn from labeled data and how they can make predictions on new inputs, just like how humans do. So, today we build a strong foundation. In the next session, we'll dive into the inner workings of deep learning. and start unlocking the real magic behind it. Thank you.